Timothée Chalamet's new massive blockbuster comes in the form of the long-awaited Dune Part 1. This film had some massive expectations and an even bigger scale, so this is the review for Dune. Dune was clearly made on a massive scale. Even just looking at the $165 million budget, you could tell it felt like one of the biggest films ever, with its huge scale. And for the times that you could tell that, the big action sequences mainly, there was some of the best filmmaking I've ever seen. It really showed just what Denis Villeneuve could do. The cinematography, production design, score, actors, and even the costumes they were wearing really made those scenes incredible to watch. However, though, I would say that its huge scale somewhat disguised its imperfections. The characters, for instance, were not explored deep enough to really understand them. Now, there were an incredible amount of characters, and they certainly all seemed to have their purpose, but I would have really loved to have spent more time with each and every one. Disappointing when the casting was spot on. There was clearly one motivation for the director: make this a massive and a visually stunning film, which indeed he delivered. However, because of this, these smaller details were left alone, something to really tie the whole story together. When it came to the more quieter scenes, you could say, we were left never really learning a whole lot, and so there was no real motivation leading forward for the film. The enemy we never really learnt about. They were sort of just there, and then the next minute they were not. I never really felt the emotions for the characters, and then the edge-on-your-seat moments when it was needed. With what was done, I believe the 2 hour and 35 minute runtime could have been shortened and we'd still be saying the same thing about it. On the positives though, as soon as the huge explosions went off which led Paul and his mother on their own, the film definitely showed its better side. The big action sequences in general were executed really well, with the pace starting to increase and the mood getting in shape. The relationship with Paul and his mother, although not executed perfectly, was explored really well, and it would be exciting to see what happens with that for part 2. Hans Zimmer's score was incredible, I thought, perfectly done, and it really bode well with the film. There are some excellent scores out there to listen to, but don't match the film well. This one did. The cast were brilliant. When I first saw Timothée Chalamet in the trailer for it, I was hesitant, but having watched the film, I couldn't have been more wrong. Josh Brolin was a similar situation, which also delivered a brilliant performance. The film certainly seemed like a setup rather than a whole film in itself, so it really did set up well for part 2. Overall though, this film could have been so much, and although in the trailers it seemed like it was going to be just that, and although I still enjoyed the film, I still found it to be slightly disappointing. So hopefully though, part 2 will yield some better results.